Welcome to Uncontained, and I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. Did a little grilling and everything like that, and also did what Memorial Day is meant for, and that is remembering the men and women that lost their lives in our services. So, big thank you to everybody out there, all the soldiers that have risked their lives and lost their lives to make it possible to do something like this, a podcast that is not censored. So thank you all, and I appreciate all your sacrifice. And the reason I chose this episode to re-release on Memorial Day weekend or just after Memorial Day is because I actually speak with musician Sean Martin, who was a member of the Airborne Infantry, and I figured if I'm going to do a revisited episode, I should at least pay homage by releasing an episode with military personnel. So please enjoy this revisited episode of Uncontained with musician Sean Martin. And thank you to Sean and everybody else in the military for their continued service and sacrifice. Please enjoy. Welcome to Uncontained, episode 114. I'm your host, Aaron Static Render. And attention all patrons out there, all Patreon supporters, Uncontained is now on Patreon. And it's really easy to find us. All you gotta go is patreon.com/uncontained. And we've got some cool stuff for you there as well, including some stickers, some t-shirts, depending on what level you get into. I recently posted a video of an interview that I did at the radio station that I used to work at when I went back home recently. Really cool. Check that out. And I appreciate any support that you guys give, whether it's just word of mouth or financial. Anything helps, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Now that we're through the sappy I appreciate you part of the intro, I got a great show for you. I have the lead singer slash guitarist of the band Quarantined, who has a really cool tie to two of my previous guests here on Uncontained, Greg Harrison and also Edward Towner, aka Eddie Bauer. They were both his instructors at the Musicians Institute in Los Angeles, California. And I got a track from their band coming up here for you in just a minute, produced by legendary producer G1. Yes, so if you listen to any of the 90s hip-hop, early 2000s, chances are he probably had his hands in it somewhere. And, this was produced at his studio, so really cool. We also talk about the correlation between the Quarantined and Uncontained, how it's kind of meaning the same thing. So that's all coming up, along with some really cool stories about learning guitar through Greg Harrison and some of the exercises that he had them do in class. I think you'll really dig this band, especially if you dig, say, a combination of Rage Against the Machine, Sublime, and so I won't keep talking your ear off. I would like to point out that the audio, well, I did the best I could to make the quality a little bit better, but you know, when you record over the internet, occasionally things happen where the sound quality isn't the best. But just keep in mind, I spent hours trying to get this to sound up to the level that I want to put out to you guys. So I think you will really dig the Quarantined, and you'll find out here just a second how badass they are. This is a track off their recently released album, Antiquate Hate. This is The End. Enjoy.
used to know. Seeing it another way is deathly too slow. Never ending it seems, never is it clean. Affects the sunset, leaves unfulfilled dreams. Sorrow run, rattled in a drunken swill. Catch me if you can see the bear, but still unbound and free from the many. We're pining for a penny on the sidewalk, land of the plenty. Down in a hole, the very few know it's a crapshoot. A chess game of souls get owned. I'm back for the dead fuckers 3 times running. Don't forget you fucking owe me something. Yet when I won't annihilate to rest. If you knew my thoughts, my friend, you'd think it's best. Been told 10 million times before, but I'll never learn. Make this world a better place, I'd rather watch it burn. Watch it burn. Of your fears, steal your love away, there's nothing but decay. And save me the anger, give me danger. I want it all just like you do. Save your tears, a reminder of your fears. Steal your love away, there's nothing but decay. And save me the anger, give me danger. I want it all just like you do.
How are you doing today, Sean?
Fantastic. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for joining me here. And I kind of got connected with you on Facebook through a group that we're both in, Gigs LA, and you responded to one of my posts, and I started listening to your music, and I was like, dude, I'm really digging this. It kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but I pick up a Rage Against the Machine influence, of course, and then I even pick up on the other side of the spectrum, like a Sublime.
Oh, yeah.
Rage, Sublime, and then you throw in a few other influences, and you kind of got your band The Quarantined.
Yeah, that's definitely about right. Yeah, we love taking from that punk rock spectrum, you know, everything from even the Ramones, Green Day, Operation Ivy, Offspring.
Okay, I heard a little Offspring in one of those too.
Yeah, definitely. We take from that genre, and we also take from metal too. We're not afraid to go over into the metal genre. We're not in the first couple songs we did. You know, we were doing heavy blues songs, these 8-minute blues odysseys that would start off in these real sultry licks and go into full on, you know, metal kind of gent kind of stuff.
Okay, all right. I saw on your website that you really started singing at a really young age. How old were you when you started singing?
I started singing when I was 4 years old.
4 years old.
in community choir, I was like the littlest kid in the Gloriana Children's Chorus, and hilarious story that director loved to do modern songs at the time, and at the time it was that Everything I Do It For You.
Okay, is that the one from Robin Hood?
I think so.
Okay, all right. Bryan Adams, I think.
I was one of the soloists doing that end. You know that raspy voice at the end that he does does that final thing in? Well, I tried to do that, but I went over raspy. And so there's this little 4-year-old kid doing this really raspy, but everything I do it for you. Those kind of things were fun, and I started doing that, and I was able to go into a lot of genres, and I wasn't ever afraid to go in and see opera or go and watch a play or go and listen to a rock band.
Yeah.
There was never any taboo between those things. That was never ingrained in me. I was just, that exists? Of course I want to listen to it.
Very cool. No, I'm picturing you. I can't help but picture you in my head, like doing the over raspy part of the song. I get a vision of a little kid trying to do like Joe Cocker.
Yeah.
Like a little help from my friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I just wanted to make sure, like, that's what was playing through my head as you were telling me that story. So at 4 years old, who guided you into music? Who let you know that you can sing?
I think it was probably my parents and my brothers. My brothers were singers too.
Okay.
We were definitely a musical group of kids. But I think I got a lot of reinforcement from the community too.
Okay.
And choir director, like the community where I grew up, as far as the arts, is very small, but it's in comparison to some other towns and stuff. But it's very tight knit and it's very supportive. And I'm really happy that I was able to be in that community for a while, because you really get to live in a community and create art. It's a great experience as well.
Okay, yeah, definitely. It sounds like you had very supportive surroundings and people encouraging you to continue on. So what brought you from singing Bryan Adams like Joe Cocker to getting into like expanding your music into more rock-oriented fields, or what was the next step from your 4-year-old singing self?
Well, the next step then was learning guitar. See, my dad died when I was 4 years old.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, that's okay. It's a long time ago. I had a lot of really deep things going on as a kid, and I needed an outlet. And people were like, well, okay, try music. So in 12, 13 years old, I started picking up the guitar and listening to Jimi Hendrix and Robert Johnson and Eric Clapton and Eric Johnson, and all of these very guitar-oriented music that I really wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
My family was also very religious, so they weren't too happy when I picked up Black Sabbath.
Yeah, Black Sabbath, AC/DC, anything like that.
Yeah, they were definitely not happy. And then later on, once I would play soccer and basketball as a teenager, and my teammates would be like, "Hey, you heard the new Dre record?" And I'm like, "What? Who is this Dr. Dre, and what is he a doctor of?"
A doctor of beats, man.
Yeah, but as a 12-year-old kid, I had no idea.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I started getting introduced to all of this, an even wider range of music by picking up a different instrument. But at that time, I was definitely focused on classic rock, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Eagles.
And looking at your website, thequarantine.com, you can see some, I'm guessing people that influenced you in the covers that you do. Some of the covers that I saw, I was like, oh man, that sounds awesome. Like House of the Rising Sun by the Animals. And then Georgia by Ray Charles. It's like, okay, there's a lot of diversity that goes into creating this band musically.
Yeah, absolutely. One aspect that I picked up on socially was to not be afraid of the things that other people are afraid of.
Like how so? What do you mean by that?
When it came to ideas, the community itself, even though it's very small, is very diverse. And at that time, it's still definitely still see it in LA. There's people who will tell you not to do this or, oh, don't do that, just in general.
Yeah.
When it's a lot of times it's them just trying to break down an idea because of 10,000 different other reasons that they have. But a fresh set of eyes on something can reform it and make something new from it. And so even though the idea was, pointless to somebody else, doesn't mean that you can't use it for something and improve yourself with it.
Okay, just to get a better grasp on that, like what would be an example of an idea that you took and used it when other people wouldn't?
Okay, like a simple example is a lot of people would be like, oh, this band totally sucks. Like when Fastball first came, people loved Fastball, and then they just turned on, right?
The only song I know by them was the "Am I Out of My Head? Am I Out of My Mind?"
Exactly.
Song. That's
Exactly.
my extent with Fastball.
Nonetheless, I mean, it was a great song at the time, and it was combining an old time kind of blues feel in a modern recording setting.
Okay.
And so at the time, it was it fit in with Pearl Jam and Event Horizon and Matchbox 20.
Yeah, I could see that a little bit. They fit in with them, but they were slightly different than them as well. There was something that, like, I'm not gonna say I was like a huge Fastball fan or something, but there was something that, like, when they came on, you could definitely tell it was them.
Yeah, exactly. Each of those bands I mentioned has their own distinct sound, but they're also in a genre. It's you're able to put them in a basket together.
Yeah.
So musically speaking, there was also very very heavy metal influence in that town. Where they were like, no, we don't want you to sing, we want you to scream. And at that time, I didn't know how to scream, and I didn't know how to make my voice, have that extra angry power to it, because at that time I was just pretty in choirs and stuff, and all of these, these kinds of influence where I was like, I was figuring my place in rock was, have a heavy distorted guitar and sing really pretty. And eventually, I started to realize that that's not really what metal is about. That's taking metal and making it something else. You have to at least bring some pain with the blues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have any pain, you can't play the blues.
Yeah, metal and blues is not all puppies and rainbows.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be able to grasp those things, not just on a personal level, but on an objective level as well.
Yeah.
And I learned that later on in going to school, where, every genre was putting you. It was, can you play this? Can you play this? Can you play this? It was not, do you enjoy it? Can you do as much as you possibly can? Know as much as you possibly can. And making all of those connections, and you have to force yourself to find something that you like about it, and you can latch onto it, that you can innovate on top of. It was definitely at Musician Institute where that was driven home in a way that also gave me a way to apply my military discipline and sense of duty, and apply some of those values that I learned in the military into music to make myself a better player, to use them as motivation.
Right on. So yeah, you mentioned that you just mentioned going to the Musicians Institute, and it's really cool. I saw, like, as I was researching you, I saw that you went to study guitar and also recording, and I was like, dude, I wonder if he knows two of my past guests on the show. I wonder if they were like his teacher or anything. Greg Harrison, one of the guitar instructors there, and Edward Towner, or AKA Eddie Bauer, who was on the show as well, doing the recording teaching and stuff. So that was really exciting to me anyway, to know that you actually learned from some of my guests. What was it like learning from them? Is there any stories you could share?
I really love both of those guys as teachers. They're having an immense amount of knowledge and dedicate themselves to giving that knowledge to people in finding the way that they can understand it. Those two guys especially are not only fantastic teachers, but fantastic. Some of the best at what they do, and they really push me.
Yeah.
Greg, as a guitar teacher, he was one of those guys that even the people who weren't shreddy were still like, damn, that's some technique.
Yeah.
You know? They could still appreciate and see how much work he put into it. And one of the best ways that he taught us classical music and taught us to have an appreciation for classical music and composing and orchestration was he gave us all a Paganini, like the first page of a Paganini piece.
Okay.
And everybody in the class learned the whole entire piece. And then he sectioned off the class to play one note. And so we would play the entire Paganini thing, or the whole page. But each person would play one note. And as you know, in Paganini, they're all 16th notes and or 37. So even if we're playing it at 60 or 80 BPM, everybody has to be on the exact same page. And everybody, literally, and on the exact same note. And so it teaches a cohesion and it teaches a personal discipline at the same time. And it was fun. It was just fucking fun. And most of the other people didn't know that those were the contents of that message. They were just like, this is cool to hear this song bounce around the room and everybody's doing it all at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
And it was a really great lesson. And with Eddie, the class he had us mix Bob Marley's "Is This Love," and that was being able to go through all of that music just on its own is, you know, an amazing experience. Really, like the recordings just of Bob Marley, to hear like all of the content that's in there and all of the, once you know about all the history of it, it's an amazing thing to be like, these are the original tracks. You know, audio engineers kind of bug out about those things.
Yeah. And, you know, I heard a cool story. I don't remember who I was listening to today, but it was about Bob Marley. It was like there was some concert that some people didn't want him to perform, so somebody shot him in the arm to keep him from playing, or shot at him and hit him in the arm. And he went up on stage and played the show anyway, despite having a gunshot in his arm and knowing that the person could be out there trying to shoot at him again. So that is badass right there.
Yeah. Bob Marley is definitely in the pantheon of badasses. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't necessarily think badass when you think reggae, like that guy's probably a badass. Now you probably think that guy, you know, he knows how to relax on the beach, but definitely earned some serious respect on that anyway, if he needed any more. But
yeah.
So let's talk about your band for a minute. Let's switch that up. The Quarantined. So you have a new EP out that came out in August, Antiquate Hate. And how many tracks is on the EP?
5.
5-track EP, all right. And it's currently out. People can get that on like iTunes, Spotify, and all those good places.
Yep. We can also get it through our website, find it in Bandcamp. We encourage people to go and check out the Bandcamp, because the Bandcamp has our entire discography. The rest still only have Antiquate Hate. But the Bandcamp site has a lot of special features that are available to our fans that know about.
Like what would be the special features at Bandcamp?
Unreleased live performance videos that are HD quality. You know, on the Bandcamp side, there's, you know, a whole other EP of some of our first demo songs.
Okay.
You know, it was us trying to see the range of our songwriters, so we go pretty far with it. We go, like I was talking about before, that 8-minute blues song that goes between, you know, old school Chicago style blues to, you know, heavy metal. And then we have a song that was written about when a squad leader of mine came back from a mission after killing somebody, where he put 2 rounds straight in his chest and watched him die from about 25 meters away. It was a song about the experience.
Wow.
That pulled me.
And we should probably preface that you were in the armed forces, correct? I don't think we've talked about that since we started recording. What branch were you in?
Yeah, I was in the Army and the Airborne Infantry, in the 3rd Battalion, 509th Infantry Regiment, based out of Fort Richardson, Alaska. I was in the 25th IB,
Okay.
4th Battalion, and we deployed to Iraq in October 2006 and I was there until September of 2007.
Okay, so that kind of sets the story for what you were saying earlier about the premise of one of your songs. So the people aren't confused, like, what the hell is with somebody that shot somebody in the chest twice? What the hell kind of story is this?
Yeah, it's a crazy story. I don't deliberately base it in that country. Like in this song, I wanted to make people to use general enough terms so that people could apply it, so they didn't have to know my stories to apply.
Okay.
The original inspiration for the song is mine, but everybody else's interpretation of it is theirs, and that's the most important aspect. That they take something out of it, not for them to know my specific story. I don't care whether they know the story, but
Yeah.
I just encourage people to listen to the song and think about its application with gun problem.
Yeah, that track has a really heavy Rage Against the Machine influence to it. Because, like, I was hearing that and I was kind of thinking, like, running through the valley with a pocket full of shells.
This song I'm talking about, Ballad of a Dead Man, is more of like a Metallica-inspired kind of ballad.
Okay.
This is from our first EP.
Okay, what track am I thinking of? Is that something about lies?
Yeah, that's Feeding You Lies. That's off the End of Hate EP.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry, I jumped around there.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, that song, Feeding You Lies, that song I wrote in 2012.
Okay.
And the lyrics become more and more relevant as time goes on.
What makes them become more relevant as time goes on?
Because the end of the second verse, I referenced that they use religious ignorance to keep you on that red hay, leading you to a meat grinder, empty and staring, while the brown shirts that you thought were fading away are alive and well and taking over today.
Okay.
And I wrote that in 2012 because I saw a slow-moving coup happening in the conservative and right-wing side of politics. And at the time, there was also the neoliberal side that was also pushing for war, two wings of the same bird. Me personally, because I was the tip of the spear, but also as a civilian, I saw and felt the propaganda that was being created by institutions that we had trusted to not do propaganda pieces.
Yeah.
And I saw the degradation of that in a slow way, but it started to become more and more real to me when a lot of the ways that I saw society break down in Iraq were happening in a similar, the principles were the same, the details were different.
Okay.
I saw them starting to happen here in America. I felt like a crazy person. Like even just for being able to put it together or making that correlation at first, I was like, that's crazy. There's no way. Society does have there is a process to everything. If society crumbles, it does have a process of how it goes down or it goes back up. There is a process to that.
Yeah.
Instead of going back down. And so I strove to understand those processes without the fear of that I shouldn't know that or shouldn't talk about it, because I was already, I already had a security clearance. I knew what it was like to understand. These institutions are made up of people. They're not just imaginary concepts. There are real people who are making these decisions. You can't just make them out to be asshole fuckers who don't have any conscience whatsoever. No, they're human beings with minds.
Yeah.
They are people too. Even the people that you vilify are people too. They have a reason for being a villain. And this is where, my acting is coming back and understanding who a villain was. A really good villain, and what a convincing villain to everybody else is that he's going after a purpose for something that he knows will help him. He's not just doing it just to piss everybody off. He's doing it to help himself. But to him, that's benevolent. To everybody else, that's what makes him a villain. So in understanding these concepts and ideas, I could understand humanity as just that, as humanity, instead of these groups of people who I need to dislike because I don't understand them. And because of that difference, it made me feel like I was on the outside of society, only able to be objective, but not able to reach in and do something. And Feeding Lies is a way we, at the time, trying to break that complex thing down into a song so that we can rock and rage out to it.
Yeah.
To talk about the deeper things behind society instead of making it so superficial. I wanted to make the least superficial song I could possibly do, and I figured, why not talk about the bullshit?
All right, fair enough, man. I'll have to go back and listen to that one because I don't think I heard the one off one of your first EPs. I didn't make it back that far in your catalog, but I'll have to go back check that one out for sure.
Yeah.
Now you have a documentary that you're working on as well. From what I understand, you still haven't quite come up with a name for it yet, but what is the basis of this documentary?
The documentary is about our songwriting process and recording process, what we do to record. It's about the people in the band because they each have their own extremely interesting backgrounds that bring unique influences. And so we want to be able to display them as well and show how that all comes together in the recording process and talk about the recording process, who the band members are, and show a story of growth.
So do you want to mention who your band members are and what you said they have an interesting story? What's a little bit of their story just to let people know about the band and about the documentary a little bit?
Yeah. So Alex Diaz is our bassist. He's originally from Guadalajara. He's a luthier, very well-traveled guy. And we went to MI, but at the time when we were there, we just kind of knew each other and didn't really talk to each other that much. We still had like classes together. We knew of each other.
Okay.
We never really worked together when we were going together at MI. And when we got out, we're like, hey, weren't you? Yeah, you were in my classes. I know you. It's one of those funny kind of. So he's a fantastic bass player. He's also a fantastic guitar player, and he has a very good influence, a very good understanding, and especially the complex stuff that people consider like Tool and Dream Theater, and the complex kind of ethereal feeling kind of music.
The math metal.
Yeah, like he has a lot. He comes from that general kind of area when he's playing with the sounds and his tonalities, and it's really cool, the stuff that he lays out. And Serge Martinenko is the drummer. He's a model and an actor, video editor, and he's also helping us do some of the editing and working on making the pieces from the documentary. We already have a couple of pieces released on our website, stuff from the documentary. And we're working with Serge right now in the studio to make our next EP, which is going to be another 5 songs, and they sound really, really fucking awesome.
Nice.
Serge is doing a fantastic job in the studio.
Great, man. Great. So, you're already you just released an album back in August, and you're already working on a new one. So, is there any tentative date where we could see new material from The Quarantined?
Not as of yet. We're going to be releasing some promo pieces from the documentary on our website and on our social media soon. But right now, we don't have a date. Cool,
man. So you got the documentary, you got the music you're currently working on, and then Antiquate Hate. And you've been singing since you were 4 years old. All right. So you have a lot of experience with music and dealing with the music industry. What would be some advice that you would give somebody who is looking to get into playing music, either solo or with a band?
If you're just looking to get into it, the first big problem that you run into is separating yourself from the music. Because the reason why people started music, the reason why I started to play music was because it was a form of expression. It made me feel good to do it.
Okay.
Very simple path. But being a musician and an artist at the same time, an implied task is that you have to be able to turn off one or the other, or turn them both on together and turn them both off together. You know what I mean? Like it has to be on, you have to be able to use all of these tools and know when to not be something, not feel something, not take something personal. Understand how to take constructive criticism and use it no matter what form it comes in.
Oh, I'm picking up what you're laying down now.
Because you can just play music and be an artist. You can own a guitar, but you might not be a guitarist. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's me right there. I own a guitar, but I'm not a guitarist.
Yeah. You have to know that there are differentiations between these things. And when you are deliberately choosing something, especially to be a musician and an artist, have to be willing to put that ego aside to take in as much information as possible. And that is not something they'll teach you in school. That's not something you can rely on your parents for. It's not something you can rely on your friends for, because they might not know how to do that.
I'm following what you're saying, and it's also can be really hard to do, like separate yourself from something you put so much of yourself into, and like be able to make it so when somebody does give you constructive criticism, it doesn't feel like it's you that they're like going after. It's like, okay, it's this product over here or this project, not so much me that they said could use some work or something along those lines. So yeah, I think that is huge. I've had to kind of work on being able to take constructive criticism as well. But it's very helpful too.
Yeah, not everybody is good at giving constructive criticism, but being able to take it, even if it's bad constructive criticism, is still a valuable skill to have.
Yes.
And also, as a beginning musician, I would memorize these acronyms that were given to me later on, and I wish that I had learned them at a much, much younger. And they are SMART and SWOT.
Okay, so what do these stand for?
These acronyms are SMART for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based.
Okay.
A way to measure out what your goals are. And you put your goal through that process of those aspects of reality. The plan will become a much more concrete thing. It becomes doable. It becomes, there's time limits set on it. Look into whether or not it's realistic that you can actually do it. If you don't have it right now, can you go out and do it? Can you go out and learn how to do it and then become good at it?
Yeah.
Now, these are the process that you must go through with every important goal that you have. And the other thing is the acronym is SWOT, SWOT, which stands for strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And this is a way to organize events, situations, yourself especially, and how to recognize your strengths and weaknesses so you can start turning your weaknesses into strengths.
Okay.
Understanding what opportunities and what threats are, and lowering the amount of threats that you have and turning them all into opportunities. It's also a way to create positivity instead of just saying, be positive. It's the way to actually create positivity.
Okay.
Instead of relying on it to just be there, because it's not going to just fucking be there. You need to do something. You know? Not everybody just wants happy all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that. It actually gives you it's like good constructive criticism in a way. It gives you a way to achieve that. Like there, as you mentioned, there's bad constructive criticism where it's just like, or bad criticism where, oh, that kind of sucks, but don't give you any way to get there. But the SWOT and the SMART goals kind of help bring you there. They're the stair steps to where you want to go.
Yes, absolutely. And these couple of things, if I could impress these things onto every person who considers, not just, it stops being, I like playing music, but says, I want to do that professionally. I want to live my life as a musician.
Okay.
Those are the things that I would want to give them, because they're going to need it, because I need it. And everybody who I talk to at Musicians Institute, everybody who went to, I know who was in my classes, and being professional music supervisors and record label people and record producers and engineers, everybody uses these some form of this concept or idea in making them stick out in the business. and it's something or another. But the way that it was taught, that was taught to me by a great teacher at MI named Bobby Boyd. And those were all his ideas. And he impressed those onto me. And when he impressed those onto me, I applied it. And I ended up writing a business plan that created what I have right now. And it's not much. It's not the biggest freaking thing in the world. But it's 10,000 times better than where I was 5 years ago.
Right on, right on. So that's proof that it works right there.
Yeah. And now, because I built it on a solid foundation, I have the ability to expand it and to keep expanding.
All right, cool. So now that you have your foundation, now that you're using Smart and SWAT, what are some other things that you are doing along the way to promote yourself?
And promotion, we're doing interviews and different radio stations and podcasts, and using social media. Granted, I know that we definitely be doing it better. There's only so many hours of the day that you really have to be able to delegate your time to focus on pieces, or be able to chuck out some pieces and just get down and focus on one particular thing. We're going to be doing tours very soon, more live shows. Our content online, we're going to start getting to bigger news outlets, bigger media outlets. I'm working with a bunch of people to start to create a community around music and ideas that we have as a band.
Very cool, man. So in your time as a musician, pretty much your whole life, what would be, like, I'm not going to ask you to pick the one highlight or anything like that, because that'd be singing since you're 4 to now. That'd be pretty impossible. But what are a couple highlights, that one or two of them, that you would care to share with the Uncontained audience?
So this last year in 2016, I had the distinct honor to be nominated, have our lyric video be nominated for an independent. And when that happened, I was stunned. I didn't know how to really take it. I was like, well, what if I win? That's cool enough. Even if I don't, it's just crazy to know that other people are listening, because there's a long time. Now, for the other question, for people to learn to have patience, because you feel like nobody's fucking listening a lot of times, but they are.
Yeah.
But it's cool to get official kind of recognition. And the best part about the experience was going to the award ceremony in New York City. And right now, at least as of now, that's the best trip that my music has afforded, or has created for me. To go to New York to meet a bunch of other independent artists who are doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, in their own different way, in their own very unique way.
Yeah.
Because there's all of these categories, but they're all using the same kind of principles. So in a way, it's like you're meeting somebody who is technically and educationally and experientially the exact same as you, but they have all of these different expressions that are really awesome, like really, really good. That you're like, why haven't I heard of this before? Why isn't this pop? This is like amazing shit, and they're just there, like right in front of you. And you wouldn't ever, like in any other cases, you would never know of them. You wouldn't ever get the recommendation for them. But there are these people who are working really hard and making really big impacts in their community, and they're getting recognized at the Independent Music Awards. And there's going to be another one coming up on the 31st. And I highly suggest, if you're in the area, go to the events.
Is it in New York every year?
Yeah, in New York every year. It's around the Lincoln Center area. But yeah, it really is an amazing experience. There's just the coolest people you can possibly imagine, coolest musicians. Everybody's doing something really amazing and really cool and putting their full heart and soul into it. And that is experience number one. That is fucking awesome. Second one, fucking awesome experience, was working with a multi-platinum producer who had produced some of the records that I listened to as a kid and been like, I could never do that. I could never know anybody who ever did stuff like that.
Yeah.
And meeting G1 was, and seeing those platinum records on the wall, and be like, yeah, that's real right there. That's somebody making something, and it was for real, had a massive effect. It was just one or a few guys, two people working together to make something that had a massive effect on the world in general. And he had a record and a history of doing it over and over and over. Be able to learn from him for time, and to have a mix and master our record, to take the best that we could do, and then take it and turn it into something way better than we had imagined.
Yeah.
It was an amazing, humbling, and exciting process that not everybody gets the chance to do. But it helped me get up to another level that I had to go through a lot of struggle to understand and comprehend. And before I even met him, I didn't realize that I still had another one of those plateaus to get over that you'll feel as a musician, where you want to throw the fucking guitar against the wall and be like, I can't play this thing. I can't do this. This sucks. I can't do it. There is no way. Fuck this thing. Fuck this. Fuck. Like you get caught in that.
Yeah.
And as you get that plateau where eventually, if you push through, if you work through it, if you really care about it, if you really love it, if you understand how to get yourself out of the way of things, you can fucking do it. And then once you get up to that other end of the plateau, you're like, woo, I fucking accomplished that. Okay, nobody was there. Nobody saw that. Okay, but for myself, okay, great. And then you realize there's another mountain, and another mountain, and another mountain. So you have to be willing. And that experience made me realize that it's a continuous journey, not a destination. Being an artist is about the journey.
Yes, definitely. I agree completely. It's music. It's many other things as well. That's not just a destination. It's once you get somewhere, you got to try to get to the next place. You can try to get to the next higher place. But it's good. Those steps, you got to take the time to be like, hey, yes, I got to this point. Now let's march on to the next one.
Yeah. And working with G1 in mixing and mastering this record is really, really close to my heart. I want to be able to share it with everybody. I want everybody to have their own interpretation to it. And I put a lot of deep little Easter eggs in there that I want to see if people get. So I encourage everybody to listen to the record, listen to it twice.
Okay, and would it be possible to get a track to play at the beginning of this episode?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
By now, listeners, you would have already heard it, but this is where it happened. All right, I got a couple more questions for you. And actually 2 more questions for you. When you are on stage playing, or say somebody listens to like your EP, is there anything that you want your audience to take away and remember about your performance that, they go on and like tell their friends about?
I have a strange answer, which is no. I don't want them to. I don't think there's anything that I would want them to take out of it. I want them to take it in.
Okay. I
want them to interpret and extrapolate their ideas from what they hear. I write generally for a reason. I to get people to apply it to themselves, like I had to. A lot of times I'll put lessons or the best advice I ever got into one line, and so I'll do little things like that. It might just be the kind of thing that you need to hear at a particular moment, because that's what this album is. It's a compilation of all of those moments for me, from my whole life up to now. And it really, the part of myself that I'm putting into this EP is the deepest well that I could draw from. And and I did that because that's like the stem cell of ideas. They can be applied to anything. They can create anything.
Okay.
But it takes a long to receive it in order for it to do something or have an effect. And there's a philosophical message in there, and I want everybody to be able to take. I know what it means to me, but I want to have people be able to take out. But of course, hey, he's a good guitar player. Hey, he's a good singer. Oh, that shit rocks. Yeah, that's the kind of shit that I want. So I take it back. Maybe it's yes and no. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, of course you want them to take that away. Now, are you, when you're telling me you want people to like kind of take it in and kind of apply it to their own situations or whatever, when somebody comes up and asks you, hey, dude, what is this song about? Do you tell them? Are you one of the musicians that don't tell them what the song's about?
I'll actually try to figure out whether they want to know what I wrote the song about or what the song means, because those are
Okay.
different things. So what the song means is the philosophy. It's
Yeah.
the lesson. It's the concepts. It's the ideas. What happened to inspire that song is a totally different story. So
Very true. I didn't really think about that. You know, there's could be two different meanings in there as far as what it's about, and as you said, what you meant for what you were trying to get across.
yeah. So I'll try to figure out, which one of those things, or option C, that they were trying to, that they really want to know.
Yeah.
Because I think they're asking that question. They're asking it because there's part of themselves that they can see and understand, or maybe it's a part of their self-exploration of recognition of self. Maybe it's part of that. I don't know.
Yeah. I've also heard a couple of musicians who are like, when somebody asks me what the song is about, I ask them what they think it's about first, and then most of the time they'll be like, yeah, dude, that's what it's about, because that's what it's about to them, because one of my friends who was in a metal band back home was like, when they come up to me and ask me that, I don't want to tell them something different, because what they took out of that song could have been something that they've been basing their life on for a while, or basing decisions that they made on. And if I tell them like, no, dude, that's just a made up story, they kind of like could be like, what the hell? I thought that was this, and then like kind of lose it a little bit.
Yeah, well, that situation right there is kind of what the band is about. And it's about choosing to break that connection to a relative falsity, so that you can understand the reality, because the reality is actually much better than a movie. And even if it is something, he still took value from a Shakespeare story because of what it meant. You don't take that much stock in it because you think, oh, Shakespeare slaved away for 48 hours to make it, or any artist slaved away for this many hours. Nobody really knows or understands that, but they do know how it makes them feel when they listen to it.
Yeah, I like that. So I do have one final question for you. Before I ask that question, this is the time to share your corner of the internet where people can find you, your social medias, your websites, and all of that good stuff. So where can people find you online?
You can find us on Twitter @The Quarantine, Instagram @The Quarantine, Facebook, facebook.com/The Quarantine, thequarantine.com. We're on YouTube. You search on YouTube, you'll find us.
All right, and you got the Bandcamp and Spotify and all of that good stuff. Is that all at The Quarantine as well?
Yeah. You should search for The Quarantine in those respective apps, and you should find us.
All right, perfect. So I have one final question for you, Sean, and that is the title question of the show. Sean Martin, how do you live uncontained?
By being able to be objective about yourself, and to strive for understanding rather than being right. Knowledge is power, but you have to be empowered.
Okay.
In order to use knowledge, and truly being uncontained in my idea is that you don't strive to be different. You are.
I like that.
But you're not just being different for the sake of being different. You're doing it because there's a better way. But you have the responsibility to show people, to lead people, but you can't force it down the throat. You have to be able to be assertive and be vulnerable at the same time, and know when to use one and know when to use the other, and know how to use them both in conjunction, and know how to turn them both off. You see, I like there's a connection between Uncontained and The Quarantine. It's a very similar concept, but different reactions to the same end goal. In uncontained is, you're trying to break free. You're trying to live free. It has that in the word. And the quarantine is the same thing. It has the same struggle, the struggle with being free. But are you free? Do you know what real freedom is, or do you just say it to help yourself go to sleep at night, or do you say it because it fits into your idea? But are you? Are you able to think freely, to accept new ideas and apply them when they need to be applied? Or are you restrictive in what you want to understand? There's so many times in my life that I've had people be like, "Oh, you did something I don't like that, or something that I couldn't really see myself doing. I don't want to know anything about it." It's like that's a level of ignorance that, okay, on whether you want to leave them ignorant or whether you just want to break down that wall. And that's what the quarantine is really about. Is that it's a concept of it, and it's about trying to grasp about how to be uncontained, and it's about a view on that same struggle that we all want to be a free living people. That and that means that we have the freedom to live. And in our existence, there is still a struggle for on many different levels. So it doesn't matter what country it is, there are still people struggling with the concept of what freedom is. And both the quarantine and uncontained confront that philosophical concept. And that's the cool part about it, is that we're two different people going after the same kind of thing with different words that kind of mean, are a little bit opposite each other, but they still are talking about the same thing. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. I didn't really think about that at first with the quarantine. I guess I was thinking kind of like sick, like toxic, like type, things you quarantine people for, like you see in the movies or whatever, like contact with aliens or whatever. You're going to get quarantined. But yeah. I see it now. I definitely feel where you're coming from, and I like the dots that you connected to get there. I like it.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, man. Well, I would like to thank you for coming on the show tonight. I have one final thing for you to do, though, to wrap up the show. It is sign off of the show. Sean, will you do me the honor of signing off the show tonight?
Yeah. I'm Sean Martin from The Quarantine, and I live uncontained.
And that does it for another episode of Uncontained. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Sean for coming on and talking music with me. Make sure you check out their upcoming documentary, and you can find clips of that on their website, thequarantined.com. Also, you can support the show by wearing Uncontained merchandise, Uncontained t-shirts, hoodies. You can even get phone cases. So, coffee mugs as well. If you're as big into coffee as I am, that's a must-have. So check it out, tpublic.com, search Uncontained. You'll find all the Uncontained merch that's available. And until next time, thank you for listening, and live uncontained.